Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome around the globe to Kangen Water Radio, featuring the Kangen Water Health and Information International Call, where we consider, clarify, and often correct the conventional wisdom around Kangen water technology, the different machines, the science behind water types, uses, and benefits, the testing process, the maintenance and cleaning of the machines, and much, much more. We also explore a plethora of other topics as we teach, promote, and discuss the three-pronged approach to health and wellness, hydration, detoxification, and complete macro and micro nutrition. I'm family physician Dr. Lisa Battle Singletary, now retired, now your virtual keto coach. And I'll be joined by my co-host and fearless leader, Mr. Terrence Hope, an Enagic 6A distributor extraordinaire. And together we bring you the best of both worlds. This is call number 437. Wow. And we are talking today about the gut-brain axis. Actually, we're going to talk, I found an article that really keys in on nutrition and the gut-brain connection. So I'm going to share that article with you, but I started off with an article that I really didn't expect. This was a fresh news article from Medical News Today, I think. And so this is hot off the press, basically. And that article made me really dig for this other article. And so I'm so glad I found these two articles for us today. So let me start by welcoming you. I did that, right? But I want to welcome you again. I don't know. I just like welcoming, and I like you. So welcoming you makes me happy. Let me find my article, my first article. So this was the article that got my juices flowing, you could say. And actually that's on topic. So IBD may disrupt mental health by breaking the gut-brain link. Now, what is IBD? IBD is inflammatory bowel disease. And let me give you the big points. Around 30% of patients with inflammatory bowel disease experience depression, anxiety, or both. Mr. Hope and I have talked a lot about the effects of chronic illness on people's mental status, right? And I think, and I haven't seen a lot of articles on this. I mean, this is new stuff, but I think after reading through all the research that you could probably put any inflammatory disease here. And you know, on this call, okay, I feel a disclaimer coming on. We do not diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, mitigate. I think that's all the ones that we don't do. We don't do that for any disease. We don't usually talk about diseases. That's just that this article got me going, so I wanted to share it with you. What do? We give the body what it needs, and then the body can do what it's designed to do, which is to replenish, heal, restore, all the things. Okay, so put any disease here that has a chronic inflammatory nature, which is 90+% of diseases, right? And I think we're going to find that what they describe in this article works the same way. Key is the eye, the inflammation or the inflammatory piece. Okay, so a new study in mice suggests that impaired communication between the gut and the brain may partially be responsible for this depression and anxiety. So they're saying it's not just because you've been feeling bad so long, but there might be a direct biological connection between inflammation in your system and the brain. And here's why. The study found that a gateway between the bloodstream and the cerebrospinal fluid, that's the brain, that's the fluid your brain is sloshing around in, may close to protect the brain from inflammation during flare-ups. So when there's inflammation or when there are inflammatory markers, inflammatory proteins, particular, and there's one kind in particular that we'll talk about, when they are in the bloodstream, the brain senses it and shuts the gates. Now, we know that there's a barrier already between the brain and the blood, but that barrier is much more complex, and I should make a note because I did a call about the blood-brain barrier, I believe. Back in the recesses of my mind, I seem to recall doing that. Yeah, I did. I think I was in my car when I did it. You remember those car calls, those mobile calls, right? And so what's different? If the barrier was there, what's different in what they have found here? And the article will tell us. This may, and isn't it good to block the inflammation from coming from the bloodstream to the brain? Like, that's a good thing, right? So why would that cause problems? This may disrupt the gut-brain axis, a communication channel between the gut and the brain with possible links to mental health. This is what you have to remember, and Mr. Hope emphasizes this whenever we talk about morphine and hospice. These pathways are two-way channels. Okay, so if the gate is slammed shut, then signals or information can't travel one way, and that's a good thing because that's why there was danger there, but they can't travel the other way either. So let's see what the research shows in this article. Now, this is not the original research article. I did look at the original research, but Medical News Today did an, summary of the article and their their understanding of it. I can't think of the word right now. Okay, interpretation. There it is. Their interpretation of the article. All right, here we go. IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, involves chronic inflammation of the gut. There are two main types: Crohn's disease, which can affect any part of the gastrointestinal tract, and ulcerative colitis, which only affects the large intestines and the rectum. In 2015, so that is 6 years ago, an estimated, let's say 3 million adults in the United States, or 1.3% of the adult population, had received an IBD diagnosis. I'm guessing that went up last year. Just saying. Symptoms of IBD include persistent diarrhea, abdominal pain, weight loss, and fatigue. According to one study, around 30%, get this, 30% of individuals with inflammatory bowel disease also experience depression, anxiety, or both. Now, the pain and discomfort that some people experience with certain chronic disease increase their risk of developing mental health illnesses. However, that does not appear to be the whole story in IBD. While the overall impact of the disease on overall quality of life no doubt plays an important role in triggering anxiety and depression in IBD, there's also an increasing evidence of direct biological connections between IBD-associated inflammation and neuropsychiatric diseases. And remember, I'm thinking in the future, we're going to just be able to just say inflammation, right? Not just IBD associated, but let's stick with the article right now. Anxiety and depression are, in fact, experienced by a large proportion of patients affected by IBD. These comorbid conditions are also associated with worsened IBD outcomes. Okay, so we know that the brain affects the gut affects the brain. Well, in this particular disease, or these diseases, inflammatory bowel diseases, when the depression, or when the IBD gets worse, the depression gets worse. When the depression gets worse, the IBD gets worse, right? According to Crohn's and Colitis UK, feelings of stress, anxiety, or depression can trigger new symptoms in the gut. A newly published study now suggests that IBD directly affects the brain by disrupting the gut-brain axis. Chatter between the gut and the brain. I love that. The gut-brain axis is a two-way channel of communication between the gut and our central nervous system. Microorganisms living in the gut play a prominent role in the relationship, although, as in this new study, findings to date are mainly in rodent models. The new study found that inflammation in the gut may close a key gateway in this communication system that controls the exchange of signals between the blood and the cerebral spinal fluid, or the CSF. That's the fluid, again, that surrounds your brain and your spinal cord. And theoretically, there's no connection between the CSF and the bloodstream. However, there is a connection. Unlike the blood-brain barrier, which prevents large molecules in the bloodstream from entering the brain, the gateway between the cerebrospinal fluid and the blood usually permits the passage of smaller molecules. But the study found that it responds to inflammatory signals from the gut, maybe from anywhere else, by slamming shut, presumably to prevent inflammation from spreading to the brain. So, yeah, we talk about the gut having more cells and producing more neurotransmitters at sometimes than the brain, but the brain is still pretty smart, and it knows, apparently, to shut the gates when there's inflammation in the bloodstream. But the study found that it responds to inflammatory, signals. I'm going to say this again. By slamming shut, presumably to prevent inflammation from spreading to the brain. The research shows that in a mouse model of inflammatory bowel disease, get this, closure of the gateway disrupted memory and caused anxiety. The research contradicts the widely accepted idea that brain inflammation in IBD leads to cognitive and psychiatric symptoms. So we used to think that it was brain inflammation doing this, but they're thinking, well, no, it's the brain protecting itself from inflammation that's doing this. The authors conclude, our data support the possibility that at least part of the behavioral and cognitive alterations that have been described in patients with inflammatory bowel disease may result not from the enhanced inflammation affecting the brain, as generally hypothesized, but rather from the defense strategy activated by the organism to protect the brain from damage and guarantee its function. So the blood CSF barrier, the blood-brain barrier, the barrier between the bloodstream and the cerebrospinal fluid, or the CSF, comprises a membrane in a specialized region at the base of the brain known as the choroid plexus. Under healthy conditions, the choroid plexus connects the brain with the rest of the organism for both nutrient and metabolite exchange. Yeah, so if there's no blood flow to the brain itself, how's it going to get oxygen? How's it going to release toxins? Well, this is where it happens. At the choroid plexus, there is an exchange. During intestinal inflammation, in order to avoid inflammation further moving into the brain, the choroid plexus closes down and this interaction with the rest of the organism is interrupted. So what's going to happen? There's going to be less exchange of nutrients, less exchange of oxygen, less exchange of waste or the toxins that build up in the brain. They won't have a way to get out if that gateway is shut. Okay, so again, this is a preliminary study. They're still, and I love that, they are looking to finding out these answers and looking at inflammation and digging into now, is the inflammation or is the problem from inflammation affecting the brain directly, or from what happens because the brain is defending itself and it just shuts the gates and does not allow the exchange of hydration, detoxification, and nutrition. Okay, so the three-pronged approach we need flow at all of these barriers and all of these gateways in order for the three-pronged approach to work. All right, so, you know, I don't like to leave you without some practical information. So in that article, both of these articles will be in the show materials at the end. I mean, when I'll add them to the YouTube video. There we go, for the replay. And I do want you to look at the rest of the article because it's got more information, more ideas, and articles underneath it that give us even a different perspective on the effects of inflammation and the brain and what can help it. All right, so I didn't want to leave Healthline out. You know, I love healthline.com. I love the way that they curate their articles. They are medically reviewed. This article was updated in August of 2020, so still not too old. It's evidence-based, the gut-brain connection, how it works, and the role of nutrition. Have you ever had a gut feeling or butterflies in your stomach? These sensations emanating from your belly suggest that your brain and your gut are connected. What's more, recent studies show that your brain affects your gut health, and your gut may even affect your brain. The communication system between your gut and brain is called the gut-brain axis. This article explores the axis and foods that are beneficial to its health. How are the gut and brain connected? The gut-brain axis is a term for the communication network that connects your gut and brain, and these two organs are connected both physically and biochemically in a number of different ways. Let's first talk about the wanderer. That is your 10th cranial nerve. They call it the wanderer. It's the vagus nerve. Neurons are cells found in your brain and central nervous system that tell your body how to behave. There are approximately 100 billion neurons in the human brain. Interestingly, your gut contains 500 million neurons, which are connected to your brain through nerves in your nervous system. The vagus nerve is one of the biggest nerves connecting your gut and brain. It sends signals in both directions, so key. For example, in animal studies, stress inhibits the signals sent through the vagus nerve and causes gastrointestinal problems. Similarly, one study in humans found that people with irritable bowel syndrome or Crohn's disease had reduced vagal tone. So it downregulated, dampened the vagus nerve, indicating a reduced function of the vagus nerve. An interesting study in mice found that feeding them a probiotic, ding, 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 reduced the amount of stress hormone in their blood. However, when the vagus nerve was cut, the probiotic had no effect. This suggests that the vagus nerve is important in the gut-brain axis and its role in stress. So that is the nerve is a direct physical connection. That's like a landline. Neurotransmitters are like snail mail, not snail mail, but more like a cell phone call, because they do work fast. Okay, your gut and brain are also connected through chemicals called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters produced in the brain control, listen to that word, control feelings and emotions. For example, the neurotransmitter serotonin contributes to feelings of happiness and also helps control your body clock. Interestingly, many of these neurotransmitters are also produced by your gut cells and the trillions of microbes living there. A large proportion of serotonin is produced in the gut. Your gut microbes also produce a neurotransmitter called GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid, which helps control feelings of fear and anxiety. Studies in laboratory mice have shown that certain probiotics can increase the production of GABA and reduce anxiety and depression-like behavior. Gut microbes make other chemicals that affect the brain. So we've talked about the vagus nerve, we've talked about neurotransmitters like serotonin, but that's not all that all those gut bacteria make. Okay, the trillions of microbes that live in your gut also make other chemicals that affect how your brain works. Your gut microbes produce lots of short chain fatty acids. We got to do a fatty acids review. I'm putting that in the parking lot, so we'll get back to that. Such as butyrate, propionate, and acetate. They make short chain fatty acids by digesting fiber. Now, what are the fibers that they digest? They are the prebiotics. So let's do a little review. So probiotics are good bacteria, right? Now, I know, are we assigning, I'll just say it's not politically correct to call bacteria good or bad, but let me tell you, You got some good ones, you got some bad ones, and there's a war going on. So probiotics are the good bacteria. Go with me on this one. Prebiotics are the fibers that feed the good bacteria. And postbiotics are the chemicals that all these microbiome constituents make. So they are metabolizing, they are eating, circulating nourishment, they are making toxins, and they're pooping them out, by diffusion or exocytosis, or however they do it. But what a cell does, what a microbe does, it has to do everything your body does, one way or another. Okay, so where are we? So they make short chain fatty acids by digesting fiber, and the short chain fatty acids affect brain function in a number of ways, such as reducing appetite. So you feed your gut bacteria the right way, they're going to reward you. One study found that consuming propionate can reduce food intake and reduce the activity in the brain related to reward from high energy food. So if you eat enough broccoli, if you eat enough fiber, then your brain gets less enjoyment from a donut. Just picking random examples out of the air. But another short chain fatty acid, butyrate, and the microbes that produce it are also important for the forming of the barrier between the brain and the blood, which is called the blood-brain barrier. Gut microbes also metabolize bile acids and amino acids to produce other chemicals that affect the brain. Bile acids are chemicals made by the liver that are normally involved in absorbing dietary fats. However, they may also affect the brain. Well, your brain is 60% plus fat, so that makes sense, right? 2 studies in mice found that stress and social disorders reduce the production of bile acids by gut bacteria and alter the genes involved in their production. Okay, strap on your seatbelt. Gut microbes affect inflammation. Your gut-brain axis is also connected through the immune system. Gut and gut microbes play an important role in your immune system and inflammation by controlling what is passed into the body and what is excreted. What do we mean by what's passed into the body? Isn't your gut in your body? No. Technically, what's in the lumen, that's the tube, is not in your body. It's not in your body until it crosses an epithelial surface, until it crosses the gut lining. So your gut is very important in determining what gets in and gets access to your bloodstream. So gut and gut microbes play an important role. If your immune system is switched on for too long, it can lead to inflammation, which is associated with a number of brain disorders like depression and Alzheimer's disease. Here's the player. Lipopolysaccharide, LPS, is an inflammatory toxin made by certain bacteria. It can cause inflammation if too much of it passes from the gut into the blood. I think we'll include lipopolysaccharide when we talk about short chain fatty acids, maybe. Maybe it's going to have its own separate call. But when the gut barrier becomes leaky, it lets the lipopolysaccharides cross into the body, get into the bloodstream, cause inflammation, and now we can say either directly cause inflammation in the brain or cause the choroid plexus to shut down barricade itself and block the brain from getting the hydration, the detoxification, and the nutrition that it really needs. But it's trying to avoid this inflammation. Okay, so I'm going to let you read the rest of the article, but it does have it talks about, I missed this part. It does talk about probiotics and prebiotics, but it also gives us some foods that can help the gut-brain axis. Omega-3 fats, fermented foods, high fiber foods, polyphenol-rich foods, and tryptophan-rich foods, which we got Thanksgiving coming up, right? Here's a good excuse to get a little bit of turkey on Thanksgiving. It's going to help your gut bacteria. All righty. So I will have that article available to you. And let's see if we have our own, oh, I don't see him at all, Mr. Hope. So we're waiting for Mr. Hope to get back on the call, and until he does, let me actually go into a little more detail on the foods that were in the end of that article, because I did just fly over them. Okay, so what foods can help the gut-brain axis? And let me, give me 1 sec. I just want to see if he's going to tell me where he is and if he's getting on. All righty. Now I will just wait. To hear him. Okay, so while we're waiting for Mr. Hope, like I said, I'm going to go over a little more detail in this section of the call, of this section of the article. And if I don't see him by then I'm going to have to talk about some Kangen water, which I love to do. So let's look at what foods can help the gut-brain axis. All right. A few groups of food are specifically beneficial for the gut-brain axis. Here's some of the most important ones. Omega-3 fats. These fats are found, these fats are found in oily fish. Now, okay, so omega-3s, when we do our fatty acids, maybe that'll be Saturday, because this is coming up a lot. So maybe Saturday we'll be reviewing the fatty acids. Just don't hold me to that, but I'm feeling inspired. Omega-3 fats are found in oily fish and also in high quantities in the human brain. Studies in humans and animals show that omega-3s can increase good bacteria in the gut and reduce the risk of brain disorders. Oh yeah, we got to look at some of these studies. I will definitely be doing omega-3s on Saturday. Talking about fats and fatty acids on Saturdays. Second category, fermented foods. Yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and cheese all contain healthy microbes, such as lactic acid bacteria. Fermented foods have been shown to alter brain activity. High fiber foods, whole grains. Well, not gluten containing whole grains, but there are non-gluten or gluten-free whole grains. Nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables all contain prebiotic fibers that are good for your gut bacteria. Prebiotics can reduce stress hormone in humans. Polyphenol-rich foods, so all the colors, cocoa, green tea, olive oil, coffee, all contain polyphenols, which are plant chemicals that are digested by your gut bacteria. Polyphenols increase healthy gut bacteria and may improve cognition. And then we talked about tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid, not a fatty acid, right? Fatty acids make up fats or oils. Amino acids make up what? Proteins. And we have 12 essential amino acids. These are amino acids that our bodies cannot make and our bodies need to make our proteins properly. Tryptophan is an amino acid that's converted to the neurotransmitter serotonin. Remember that? We talked about serotonin earlier, making you happy. Also can make you sleepy. So foods that are high in tryptophan include turkey, eggs, and cheese. The bottom line, the gut-brain axis refers to the physical and chemical connections between your gut and your brain. Imagine, however, if your gut or your brain have a dysfunction, it's going to affect the other. Millions of nerves and neurons run between your gut and brain. Neurotransmitters and other chemicals produced in your gut also affect your brain and the other way around. And by altering types of bacteria in your gut, your microbiome, it's possible to improve your brain health. And we talked about the list: omega-3 fatty acids, fermented foods, and probiotics. Other polyphenol-rich foods may improve your gut health, which may benefit the gut-brain axis. All righty. Let me see if Mr. Hope's here. Don't see him. All right, so we're going to talk about Kangen water. We have the technology. We, however, did not pull up the PowerPoint. So give me just a little bit of maybe, this PowerPoint is in another spot. Maybe here. Yes. Okay. Oh, but before I do, I see Mr. Hope. Mr. Hope, welcome to the call. Welcome back to the call. Are you able to talk about Kangen water with us today? Let me see. I don't see you and I don't hear you. Let me. Oh, maybe you need. No, it says you're the co-host. So you've got powers. You are unmuted. Your camera is off. So I am going to dive into this here PowerPoint that I got. And please interrupt me when you can, Mr. Hope. So for the next few minutes, I don't know if I'm sharing my screen or not. I think I'm sharing my screen. For the next few minutes, pretend that you are hearing the voice of our fearless leader, Mr. Hope. And it could actually happen. But we've got very important information about Kangen water. So Kangen water, change your water, change your life. So we've given a little hint, just talking about the brain and the importance of the brain in, the importance of water for the brain. But it's not just any water, right? It makes a difference the kind of water that you're giving your brain and the rest of your bodies. So let's talk about this Kangen water. Kangen water is water that comes from the Kangen machine that's made by the Advantage Corporation. This is a machine that I have on my counter, the ST501. And this machine gives us multiple types of water based primarily on the pH. So what happens, there's a filter in here that filters the water. Now, ideally, you would have a pre-filter on your machine. A pre-filter will help to protect. This is me saying this. Okay, I don't have scientific studies, but we like to use our brains here too. So a pre-filter will help to protect your filter, extend the life of your filter, and protect your machine. So, but the machine itself has a filter right in this little chamber here that is carbon, granular activated carbon, silver impregnated. Okay, and we know those filters take out a lot. They don't take out everything, but they take out a lot, and they take out a lot more than we say, because we can't guarantee, we can't get all the, it's a lot to get the testing to prove everything that it takes out. So that's the machine, the filter inside the machine. And then the magic happens when we turn on the current, then different levels of electricity will flow and cause the water to be different pHs. It causes it to make molecular hydrogen, and just it restructures the water. It makes this water so much more healthy for your body than tap water. So our amazing water, we can make Kangen water, which we have 3 levels of Kangen water: pH 8.5, pH 9.0, and pH 9.5. That's what we call Kangen water, but it makes other waters. It makes what we call clean water. Now, I think they should have called it neutral water or, something, but it is clean, but so are the other waters. So the clean water has a neutral pH, pH of 7.0. And acidic water or beauty water, it has a pH of 6.0. So here's the clean water or the neutral water. That's a good water for, let's say you're going to take medications. If you're still on medications, hopefully you've gotten off medications if you've been listening to this call long enough. But no disclaimer though, no claims, just a hope. But this water, if you're on any medications, especially if those medications are time released at all, then you want to take it with a neutral pH water. You don't want to take it with water of either acidic or alkaline pH. Now, this yellow one, it's acidic water in this picture, but beauty water. It's really, the reason they call it beauty water is because the pH of our skin has, should be anyway, acidic. But they call it the acid mantle. And that's part of our protection. is the fact that our skin is acidic. And so having that water as a beauty product, a cleaning of our skin, etc., and it's used for many, many other things. And then strong acid water. This water is I don't want to say natural, but this water we can make right from our machines something that kills bacteria. It's bactericide, it kills viruses, it kills fungi. You can soak your fruits and vegetables and meats in it. And this water is made at the same time as another water called our strong alkaline water. They're both made at the same time, one from one tube, one from the other tube. Okay. Kangen water, electrolyzed reduced water, and molecular hydrogen water. So notice on this slide, featuring two of the main aspects of Kangen water, pH is not mentioned, right? The key to Kangen water is that it's electrolyzed reduced water. And when you look up scientific studies, which we do have some studies available, you'll be looking up electrolyzed reduced water. And another aspect of the water is molecular hydrogen. How does this, is it made? It's made by electrolysis. So inside the machine, there are positive and negative poles. And when we run current through those poles, they attract some aspects of some compounds that are in the water, and they repel some compounds that are in the water. And we can, by the separation of those charges and by the separations of that attraction across a semi-permeable membrane, you don't have to know that, but we can use that in order to harness the Kangen water. And so out of one spout will come the Kangen water, out of the other spout will come the, usually we're calling it wastewater, but sometimes we grab this water because it has a use being strong acid, depending on how we have our machine set. So it's all because of electricity. Why is that important? There are many ways to alkalize water, to cause the water to have a pH that is higher than 7.0. We use electricity. Why? Well, when lightning strikes the water molecule, something amazing happens. So we're going to show that again. And I didn't prepare you for that last lightning strike. There's one more coming. I think it's right now. Yay. So in nature, lightning hits a lake or a river or a stream, and it affects the water. Well, it affects the water. We basically harness lightning inside of our Kangen water machines, and it affects the water. It will take an intact water molecule and split it into an OH negative and an H plus, a hydroxide ion and a hydrogen ion. And by splitting the water into those two ions, remember the two poles inside the electrolysis chamber, the hydroxide ion is attracted to the positive pole and the hydrogen ion is attracted to the negative pole. We can collect the hydroxide ions and use that as our alkaline water, and we can collect the hydrogen ions and use that as our strong acid water. So I love it. Now the hydroxide ion, or the split part of the water will determine what is the pH of the water. So we use pH to measure what percentage of, or what is the number of hydroxide ions in the water? And the more hydroxide ions there are, the higher the pH. The fewer hydroxide ions, the more hydrogen ions, the lower the pH. Oops. So here's a picture of the whole process. Lightning strikes inside our machines. Water is split from H2O to OH negative and H plus. The OH negative goes to work. One of the things that it does is it helps to restructure the water, because not all of the water molecules undergo this transformation, right? So the ones that are still intact water molecules, like this little baby here, the positive portion is going to be attracted to the oxygen, which is where there's an electron party going on. And the negative portion is going to be attracted to this side, to the hydrogen side. So the water restructures and our cells can absorb it more. Why? How does that happen? Opposites attract, like charges repel. Okay, so that is also important in your cell, because water has to, your cell, remember, your cell membrane is a lipid. Again, we're talking about fats. Right? I got to do fats on Saturday. It's a lipid bilayer, and water will not naturally pass through a lipid bilayer. But if the water is small enough, structured right, or if it has a channel, then like aquapores, then the water can pass through from the outside of the cell into the inside of the cell. So we're talking now about a very hydrating molecule. So here's one of the research letters that we refer to studying hydroxide ions in water. The team found that the ion in the center, right? This is oxygen, and this is one of the hydrogens of the water. Now, this is the same thing. It's just we've cut off one of the hydrogens through electrolysis. All right. So the ion can form two different structures, one with 5 hydrogen bonds. Those are these on the left, and the other with 4. So these hydrogen bonds are how these attractions form once the water molecule is split and there's a charge, a negative charge on that molecule, attracting the slightly positive charge on the intact water molecule. So even the water molecules that aren't split by the electrolysis process, they are affected by being exposed to the hydroxide ions. So amazing. All right. Before we talk about the animals in the wild, I'm going to take a peek and see if Mr. Hope is with us. And I see a phone. So Mr. Hope, maybe if I click on that phone that asks to unmute.
Maybe. Possibly.
I hear the dulcet tones.
Yes.
Our fearless leader, our host, Mr. Terrence Hope, Enagic 6A distributor extraordinaire. Mr. Hope, welcome
yes,
to
madam.
the call.
Thank you so much. I figure where there's a will, there's a way. So I keep rerouting to make it happen. And for this time, I'm on a phone because, I'm really, honestly, people, trying to handle all of my technical issues. And it seems like 3 weeks in a row, I've got 3 weeks in a row of technical problems. I just don't understand. But honestly, I really appreciate the fact that you have done part of the Kangen Water presentation, Dr. Singletary. It gives a different voice and a different perspective with some different details that everyone needs to see as well. on the call. So I appreciate that. But, first and foremost, I very much love the nutrition and the way it affects the gut-brain connection. And I love the fact that you went over that detail today. And it's something that a lot of people simply are not aware of, that, a lot of what's going on in our bodies is being controlled by the gut. As people use that term from time to time, they'll say, I got a gut feeling about this.
Yeah.
There was actually, I don't know whether it was a study or science study, but some kind of individual out in Asia that did a presentation about brains, and that we had two brains, and there was one in the gut and the other one was up here. We think everything is being controlled from up here. People wonder sometimes when they get hungry, they say, oh, I'm hungry. Where's that coming from? It has a lot to do with that gut microbiome that's now communicating with the brain, telling the brain what it needs to do. So what happens if your gut microbiome is depleted? And the communication that it needs, not only why, that you're hungry, but why you're hungry, what nutrients you need. When someone has a desire to go eat something, I have a taste for such a thing. The body is saying it needs XYZ nutrient, right? So now what happens if the microbiome is not present in full form? Well, you won't know what to eat. And unfortunately, we have been sideswiped by a junk food industry that loves selling us products that are consumable for their purposes, but not nutritious for ours. So that's why I call it edible matter. It's like, yeah, you can eat it, but is it going to be good for you? What does the Bible say? All things are admissible, but not everything is beneficial. So it takes wisdom. Whether other Bible says, other part of the Bible says, for lack of knowledge, the people perish, right? So, yes, you can do that, but is it going to be beneficial? Yeah. So, yes, we can eat junk food, but is it beneficial? And that segues me right into this slide here that Dr. Singletary brought up, where I like to use it showing the woodland creatures. You'll find it mostly in the UK and like the United States. If you go to Brazil and Africa, you're going to see a different kind of woodland creature, right? Travel to Florida, you will have a few alligators in that little pond, which I got the opportunity to see, which I'll tell you later. So,
circle of life, baby.
Right. So the animals in the wild are eating what is designed for their microbiome. Somebody got a kick out of that. The animals in the wild are eating produce, fruits, vegetables. Bambi's out there eating flowers, so we're told. They're eating protein, because animals eat animals. They eat fish. There's a pond over there, so we know they're drinking some kind of water. But we know that their microbiome is microbiome rich because they're getting the nutrients that their body is designed to have. What are they eating? The eating of the earth. And you said, Dr. Singletary, just now, you said that there is a cycle of life. You said that there's a cycle of life, yeah? So this planet eats upon itself. Everything on this planet requires everything else. It's a codependency. And you must eat of the planet to exist on the planet. What does Captain Kirk call us? Or from those different planets that Captain Kirk and the Star Trek Enterprise, Earthlings, they call us, Earthlings, right? Well, Earthlings have to eat of the earth. Even different Earthlings or humans on different parts of the earth in different countries, in order to adapt to that environment, when in Rome do as the Romans do, have to eat from what the nutrients are there, so that it's best for what you need to adapt to that environment. Yeah. And then some people who are born and, I guess genetically, from certain parts of the world, their bodies ancestrally, right to the present day, are better adapted to that part of the world. So if you're from Africa and you're living in Antarctica, not really the best part of the world for you to be residing in, because there's a sun that you're getting in Africa that's penetrating your melanin to ensure that you're getting the right amount of vitamin D synthesis so that your body can have full nutrition. So things to know, things to be aware of, the microbiome. Thank you, Dr. Singletary. So in the wild, we know that the animals eat a certain way, and when we eat of the land, we eat a certain way, and we will be healthier. We get back here and start eating the things that someone throws together just so they can make $1, and we had a problem in our hands. And so the body is self-healing in this type of environment, and you can do well and thrive and be healthy, if you're eating these kind of foods and of the earth. Let me see if I can get fancy for a second. So the body is self-healing. I'm going to switch off for 1 second, Dr. Singletary. All right, watch this. Presto changeo. Here we go. So I have the power of some slides now, Dr. Singletary. Look at me. I'm getting grown. So, your body is mostly water. The kind of water you have within your body will dictate its best function. Kangen water, as Dr. Singletary is showing you, was formed through electrolysis, but Kangen water tends to be an antioxidant water. This is a chart we have called an ORP chart. It shows a negative number or a positive number in millivolts. And we use something called a oxidation reduction potential meter, and that shows us this. If I take the meter and I put the wand in a Kangen water, it's going to show me a negative number. And that negative number means that the substance is antioxidant. It has an antioxidant effect on your body when you drink it. So Kangen water shows you in the chart at the high negative number. If you drink something that's an edible matter, that's right, I'm calling it that, as in soda over on this side, we're going to see that it has a positive number in the opposite direction, positive 400. That means it's very oxidizing, does not allow your body to remove toxicity, can actually cause your body to build up more toxicity. So we have to look at this and look at the differences and the dangers, yeah? So stay on things that are antioxidant. Stay on some things that are nutritious for you. Watch out for junk foods like this. They are a problem. They can damage your microbiome. So that gut-brain connection is unhealthy. It's not beneficial. So these are things to be aware of. These things to watch out for. And Dr. Singletary, I appreciate the slide that you showed, and just so people can always remember. And I know I say this every time, but everybody always comes back to me talking about alkaline water. And Dr. Singletary just showed that we are, using an antioxidant water. Different organs in the body have different pH levels. Some organs are acidic and have to be acidic for you to be healthy. Some organs are alkaline and have to be alkaline for you to be healthy. Some organs range from alkaline to acidic and have to constantly go back and forth in order for the cells and the organs in that area to function properly. Yeah? Look at this. It says here that the small intestine and the large intestine run in more of the acidic range. The 4.0 to 7.0. 7.0 is neutral, but below that is going to be acidic for you to be healthy. The stomach is more in the acidic range, 1.5 to 4.0. Yeah. The saliva, look at that, ranges from the acid pH to the alkaline pH, likely depending on your stage of digestion. And of course, up here, the bloodstream and the heart, more in the alkaline range. So always remember that the body is not alkaline. The body has alkaline and acidic chambers. And the body maintains its own pH when your body is toxic free. And that's the real job of the Kangen water machines. Yeah. So always remember, we refer to the Kangen water machines as electrolyzed reduced water systems, or productions of electrolyzed reduced water. And it's the term you want to look up when you want to understand what Kangen water is and what its benefits are to the body. So I'll just pause with that, giving you some good information. and see if we have any more questions on the board. Let me see what's going on. Dr. Singletary?
Thank you, Mr. Hope. From one earthling to another. I love when you bring in the Star Trek references and the sci-fi references. My favorite, of course, is the mitochondria and the what do you call them, midichlorians or something.
Metachlorian, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, that's my favorite. So we gotta do the mitochondria soon. I'm gonna write that down. Sure. But the edible matter. Think about, and they used a term in one of the articles about high energy foods, right? That's a scientific euphemism for high fat, high calorie, high sugar, right? Not much protein in that mix, but you don't see animals in the wild eating donuts, right?
No, not with their morning run.
So I am looking at the time, Mr. Hope. Well, I don't know what you want to do, but
I'm gonna take a shot in the dark here. I do see one person with a hand raised toward the end of the call, and we will see how this goes and determine. Let's see, Miss Juanita, I see you've returned to the call and you've got your hand raised. I'm gonna unmute you. Hi, Juanita, you're unmuted. Actually, I can't hear her. Can you?
I cannot.
Sorry, Juanita, we actually can't hear you speaking. If I tried to bring you on there. You can chat a question if you want and we'll respond. Kangen water, antioxidant water, hydration, nutrition, detoxification is our mantra. Stick to that, and one can be very, very healthy. And I'm so glad that we've had this call today to go over the gut-brain connection, and the microbiome. It's my favorite. Things that we need to understand to be healthy. We're kind of over the limit now with time. I was hoping that anyone had a phone question. We could take your question, unmute you and bring you into the call as well. So we had one audio issue there. It looks like I was having audio issues too, so maybe it's a thing today. I don't know. But Dr. Singletary, you want to share something?
As we head out. Sharing my screen?
Go on now, share that screen.
So thank you everyone for joining us today. We are going to be back here on Saturday. So Wednesdays and Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK, 9 p.m. Dubai. I can say it now because daylight savings time has not ended, and I could still use the times on the screen. But let me tell you, put it on your calendar. Daylight savings time ends. Let me tell you. Put it on your calendar. Daylight savings time ends November. Okay. Saturday. What's going on? November. Okay. So what's going on? We need to, So, look for the replays, everyone, on YouTube. Search Kangen Water Radio. Also, I'll be sending a replay to those of you that I have your email address. And the 2 articles that I referenced today, as well as all of our call resources, will be listed in the description box. Please subscribe when you go there. We're gradually increasing our subscription base on YouTube, and we really appreciate it when you do. You may have questions in between time that we haven't been able to address today. You have a chance to do that. You can call or text us at area code 866-526-4368. That's US toll-free, 866-526-4368. If you are in the UK, that's, if you're in country, you do 0800-086-9793, or country code +44 800-086-9793. United Arab Emirates, in country, 0800-018-589, or country code 971-800-018-589. And let us reassure you that it is an 800 number, right? Not a 500 number. Am I right?
Right. Yeah, because
Okay.
their normal number in that country is 05 something something something.
Okay.
You know, but our number starts with an 8. What looks odd over there, but you know, hey, it's a Dubai-based phone number.
Awesome. And you can email us at kwnation7@gmail.com. That's kwnation, the number 7 @gmail.com. We also have websites around the globe that you can reach us. But mostly we want you here on Saturday. All righty, everybody. So, Mr. Hope, thank you for fighting through all of those technical challenges in your bunker, in your hidden away beneath a nondescript building. And we will see you all on Saturday. Okay, now I can't hear you, Mr. Hope. So I'm just going to say, I love you all. Mwah. Bye-bye.